I highly recommend making this. It pairs perfectly with all your dim sum classics. Hi guys, and welcome back to my kitchen. If you're new here, my name is Kaylee, and in my kitchen, we try our best to authentically recreate different cultural food from all around the world. Today we're going back to China and we're going to be making one of my favorites, green onion pancake. Green onion pancake is a dim sum staple. It's an amazing breakfast. You can serve it alongside different dumplings or bao, whatever you're really interested in. But I want to show you that green onion pancakes are super easy to make. Unlike our last recipe that we did, I'll link that above, it's not very involved. We've only got 5 very basic ingredients, ones that you probably already have at home. If you haven't had green onion pancake before, it's not like a Western pancake. It's not sweet and really fluffy. It's very flaky and savory and loaded with flavor. So I'm excited to share that recipe with you today. Today we're gonna be following a recipe from Angel Wong. I've linked it down below so you can check out her blog. And she also has a YouTube channel where she creates tons of different food, either Chinese, Taiwanese, that's sort of her specialty. But I followed her along when I was first learning how to make a variety of simple Chinese dishes. So she does a great job of clearly explaining everything you need with detailed instructions. So that one's down below. Let's quickly run through the quick ingredients that we're gonna need, and then we're just gonna get right into it. Today we're gonna be using some flour, just regular all-purpose flour is all that we need. We do need some salt. You can use just regular salt. I happen to like 2 kinds of salt. One, just the regular sort of fine salt, that way I can mix it into the flour to create the dough for the pancake. And then I like to add in sort of some flaky sea salt in between the layers. I just think it gives it a nice crunch, it adds a little bit of extra flavor. You don't have to be high maintenance and have 2 kinds of salt. One will do, but I figure I've got them anyway, so I might as well make use of it. We're also going to be using a little bit of vegetable oil. You can use canola oil or another oil of choice. And then of course we need some green onions or some scallions. We're using about 5 stalks today. Traditionally, you only use the dark green part of the onion to put into the pancake, but I don't want to waste the white part of the stalk either. So I'm going to cut the whole thing up, just make sure it's got a really nice fine chop so we don't have any huge pieces of onion that's going to sort of bite back when we eat our pancake. So I'm going to clear everything out of the way. We're going to get started on the dough. All right, so for our dough for our green onion pancake, it's very simple, just 3 ingredients. We're using 2 cups of flour, about a teaspoon of salt, and then 3/4 cup of hot or boiling water. So I'm gonna pull you in, and then we're just gonna mix everything up all together. Starting with the flour and the salt, we'll give that a nice mix just to make sure it's all combined. Once those are mixed up, then we're gonna gradually add in our 3/4 cups of hot water. So a little bit at a time, mixing that in. If you've seen any of our other videos where I had to make dough for dumplings or when we made menaish, you will know that making dough is like the bane of my existence. I don't know why, but I just feel like I can never get it perfect, no matter how close I follow a recipe, or I feel like I'm kneading all day, and then I don't know if I need too much or not enough. So that's something I'm learning. If you have any tips and tricks when it comes to making the perfect dough, let me know down below. So I'm just gonna incorporate this as best as I can with my spatula, and then we'll go in and knead it with our hands. All right, that looks pretty good. Right now I'm gonna take it out and we're gonna finish kneading. We need to knead the dough for about 8 to 10 minutes until it's kind of smooth and shiny and is one cohesive ball of dough. Now that the dough is done, it's been kneaded, I'm just going to carefully cover it with a wet paper towel and just set it over to the side to sort of let it rest. It's gonna be about 30 minutes. And while that's resting, we're just gonna get everything else ready to go. Now that our dough is just resting in the back, we're gonna quickly chop up our spring onions. So again, we're just gonna give those a nice fine chop. Like I mentioned earlier, traditionally you don't use the light green to white part of the stock, but I don't want that to go to waste, and I think it adds a nice flavor. It's been about 30 minutes since we put our dough over to the side to rest, so now it is good to go. I must apologize if you can hear construction throughout this video. They're building a condo right across from us, and so it's going all day long. Even the days when it shouldn't be going. Even the times in the day when it shouldn't be going. Anyway, so right now the dough looks great. What I'm going to do is just take this out and just cut it into 3 equal sized pieces. So this recipe yields 3 pancakes. But of course, if you want more or less, you can always increase or decrease the recipe. Putting 2 over to the side just so I can focus on 1 piece of dough for now. Now 1 pancake by itself will serve as a decent sized breakfast. They're not super big, but it's enough to kind of get you through the day. Or often whenever we go to dim sum or any dumpling house, we always get the green onion pancake as well as some dumplings. So it's just nice to have a little bit of variety. So that's why the recipe is fairly small. Right now we're going to roll out one of those sections as best we can in sort of a, I guess, rectangular shape. To get really nice flaky layers, we're first gonna roll this out super thin, paper thin, if you will. Like I said, we're borrowing this recipe from Angel Wong. If you haven't checked out her videos, you really should. She's so sweet and very clear. So I've been able to learn a lot from her. But she does a really interesting thing to make sure that she has this absolutely thin enough. She talks about being able to place 3 hands across the length and the width of your dough. And if it's that thin, then you know it's good to go. Right now what we're gonna do is cover this with a thin layer of oil. If you have a brush, I recommend using that. I'm just gonna use a spoon for today and just kind of put some oil all the way around to the edges. Not a ton, we're not trying to drown this in oil. We just wanna have enough so that the green onion sort of has something to adhere to. And it'll also help to create some of those flaky layers. So now that we've got oil all throughout the surface of our dough, we're just gonna sprinkle in our green onions. And we want to cover the whole thing, kind of all the way towards the edge as well. Oh, beautiful. I love green onion pancakes. Something else that we want is the salt. We need to have that salt in there to add in a little bit more flavor. All right now what we're gonna do is roll this up into a log shape. So grabbing one end and rolling it over. I'm gonna very carefully roll it over. It's okay if it's oblong. Don't worry about everything matching up perfectly. We're just trying to roll this up, and it's gonna help create more flaky layers in our green onion pancake. So it's already paper thin. We've rolled it up to create a few more layers, and the last thing that we're gonna do is roll this one more time. Just wrap it around itself. tucking in that edge. And I'm just gonna push it down slightly just to kind of seal everything together. And it looks just like that, kind of like a little cinnamon roll. That way later on, when we roll it out, we're gonna roll it flat to create even more flaky layers in the green onion pancake. So now that I have my roll, I'm gonna set that to the side and do that 2 more times. And once they're all done, I'm gonna let the 3 of them rest for about 10 more minutes before I do the final rollout. All right, so our dough and our spring onion pancakes, or green onion pancakes, have been resting for about 10 minutes. At some point in time, it looks like I got something on my shirt. We're just going to ignore it and keep trucking through. Right now, it's time to finish rolling out the green onion pancake to give it one last flaky layer. So the way we're gonna do that is just flour our surface one more time, just to make sure nothing sticks. And take one of our spring onion pancakes and flatten it down just a little bit with your hands. Because we've rolled it so many times into a log shape and then into a bun, there are going to be air bubbles that are trapped in here. Don't panic if the air bubbles burst and some of the onion starts to come out. That's fine. As you continue to roll it out into a circular shape, the rolling pin will roll those onions back into the dough. They won't be sacrificed or forgotten. We'll still have those in there. Okay? But don't worry, it is bound to happen. This time we're rolling it out into a circle, just like a pancake. Nice and thin, but not as thin as the first time we rolled it out. This time when we roll it out, we want to be able to just fit 2 hands across, as Angel says. So not 3, just 2, a smaller shaped circle. The great thing about green onion pancakes is they freeze really well. What I'm gonna do is the ones that I'm not eating today, I'm just gonna wrap those ones up. That way I can leave them in the freezer. When I wanna cook them, I just take them out and quickly pan fry them the same way I'm about to do. So now we've got 3 beautiful green onion pancakes ready to go. Again, the ones that I'm not gonna be cooking today, I'm just gonna freeze them up, cook them at a later date. Kind of like when we made dumplings, a lot of the things that we make for dim sum or that you have at dim sum, they really do freeze and reheat well, which is amazing. So I'm gonna set these over to the side and we'll get cooking. All right, it is time to cook up our green onion pancake. So we've already made sure we've got lots of delicious flaky layers. Now it's time to get a nice crispy, crunchy sort of crust around the outside. So what I'm gonna do is turn up my stove to about a medium heat and add in a little bit more of that vegetable oil. Again, just to really crisp up the outside. Then once that's heated up, I'm gonna take my green onion pancake and just set it inside of the pan. We're gonna cook it for about 2 minutes on each side. Okay, so 2 minutes, then flip, another 2 minutes. And then after that, just continue to flip kind of back and forth so we get a nice even distribution of that golden brown color, but we also make sure that the rest of the dough is cooked all the way through. It takes about 7 to 8 minutes, kind of just depends on your stove top and how thick your green onion pancake is. At this point, our green onion pancake is just about done. The last thing I'm gonna do is kind of just squish it as best as I can, just so we can kind of release some of those flaky layers within the pancake. And then we're gonna serve it up. The last thing to do is add a little bit more of that flaky sea salt. All right, it's here, it's time. We can finally dig into our green onion pancake. Like I said, we made sure that it was cooked all the way through, flipped it back and forth so it's super crispy on the outside. You can even see when I cut it up, some of the layers start to fall apart, and that's okay, that's a good thing. That just shows us how flaky and crispy it's going to be. Now let's dig in. That's the stuff. So good. It's so simple. The green onion pancake is really well balanced and it has an amazing freshness from those spring onions. I highly recommend making this. It pairs perfectly with all your dim sum classics. That's awesome. Really the method of rolling it paper thin, covering it with the green onions, rolling it into that sort of, I don't know, cinnamon roll shape, and flattening it out one more time creates these perfect, even, flaky layers in the green onion pancake. So every bite has tons of layers. You've got the dough, the green onion, the salt for a little bit of crunch and some extra flavor. It's awesome. I'm like drooling talking about it. I'm gonna wrap it up here. That way I can go hide and finish this one off all by myself. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen today. I'm so glad that I was able to share a recipe that we've been using in our home. Thanks to Angel Wong. She taught me exactly how to make these. And now you'll be able to make it at your home. It's very quick and easy, limited ingredients. You probably have them all in your house right now. If you recreate this dish, tag me on social media so I can see your creation, see what you paired it with, and how you and your family enjoyed it. I'm really excited to keep learning with you in my kitchen. Comment down below what you want me to make next. Any culture, any cuisine. I'm really curious to learn about replicating different things. Could be something you had abroad while traveling, could be something you had in a restaurant that you've been to. But let's make some authentic food together and learn a little bit more about the cultures along the way. Until next week, see ya.